Okay, this one is my assignment, but I edit according to what Brother Lau has advised. So the topic is the law of dependent arising explains the existence and continuance of being in samsara. Clarified. So um in simple terms, samsara is a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, a continuous round of existence driven by cause and effect. The Buddha didn't present this as a metaphysical theory, but as a diagnostic truth. He said, I teach only suffering and the cessation of suffering. Dependent arising is the detailed map showing how suffering arises and how it ceases. In Abhidhamma, the dependent arising Paṭiccasamuppāda is explained in the chapter of the Compendium on conditionality. It is a detailed analysis of the conditioned states and of those states which are their conditions and how they are related. The three aspects of conditionality are conditioning states, Paccaya Dhamma, Dhammas that are efficacious in the arising of or persistence of other states. Second, conditioned states, Paccayuppāna Dhamma, phenomena that arise in dependence of conditions. The third one is conditioning forces, Paccaya Sati, the 24 conditioning forces that operate between the conditioning states and the conditioned states. So the explanatory methodology of the Compendium of conditionality is twofold. First, the method of depending arising, Paṭiccasamuppāda-naya, and second, the method of conditional relations, Paṭṭana-naya. Here we will focus on the method of dependent arising, which is mentioned in both Sutta and Abhidhamma in the conditioned dynamic. The Dhamma shown as the cause should be treated as a main cause and not the only cause. For example, avidya, ignorance, paccaya sankhara, formations, means ignorance is the main cause, conditioning formations. Nonetheless, it is not the only cause. So, dependent arising is a systematic explanation on the following phrase. Imasmin sati idam hoti, imasa upada idam upajati. So the Pali translation is as shown. So the whole thing means when this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. That is the engine of samsara. Here, the conditionality explained in a linear sequence of causal links, i.e., ignorance to formation, to consciousness, to mentality, materiality, 6 bases, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, aging, and death. So there are total 12 factors in the dependent arising. So avidya, paccaya, sankhara. Ignorance is a blindfold. It is not just not knowing things, it is actively misperceiving reality as permanent, satisfactory, and self. This fundamental delusion fuels our intentional actions, sankhara of body, speech, and mind. So this is the kick-off of the whole cycle. As we don't see clearly, we act. So ignorance refers to ignorance of four noble truths: prenatal past, post-mortem future, both prenatal past and post-mortem future. Sankhara Paccaya Vijnanam. Our intentional actions, karma, have a potency. They condition the next moment of consciousness. Most importantly, the rebirth linking consciousness, Patisandhi Chitta, that starts a new life. During life, they also condition our moment-to-moment experience. So the actions we perform today may be wholesome, unwholesome, or imperturbable. They plant the seed for the consciousness we will experience tomorrow and in our next life. So Vijnanam Paccaya Nama Rupang. Rebirth consciousness arises, it does not appear in a vacuum. It immediately provides the support for the mental and material phenomena that constitute a new being. Mind and body become established based on the initial spark of consciousness. At the moment of conception, consciousness is the anchor around the body and the mind and the body of the new being formed. In the human rebirth, these consciousness conditions the development of both the mental factors and the physical basis of the body. Nama Rupang Pachaya Salayatanam. As the mind-body complex develops, the six sense doors, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, fully mature. The apparatus for experiencing the world is now complete. The growing features develops, eyes, ears, and the brain. The hardware for experience is now in place. Salayatanang Pachaya Faso. So when the sense base, for example, the eye and the object, i.e. the visible form and the corresponding consciousness, the eye consciousness, come together, contact occurs. This is the meeting point. So the eye doesn't just see, it contacts a sight. This is the first moment of genuine experience in the sense door. Phasa Pachaya Vedana. Contact is a trigger for feeling. Every experience, the moment it is contacted, has a flavor, i.e. pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. This is a critical pivot point. The experience is now evaluated on the basic hedonic scale, whether we like it, we don't like it, or we are indifferent. Vedana Pachaya Tangha. This is the most dangerous step in the cycle of wandering of the for whirling. Because of not understanding the true nature of feeling, that is its impermanence, we react. We crave more of the pleasant feelings. We crave to be rid of the unpleasant feeling. We crave for the peaceful, neutral feeling to persist. So this is where the autonomic unconscious reaction, the feeling turns into an active conscious desire. So feeling is a fuel, craving is a fire. Tangha Pachaya Upadanang. Craving, if unacknowledged and unchecked, intensifies into clinging. This is the difference between ID wanting a new car and being obsessed with getting it, building the identity around it. So craving is reach out for something, clinging is grasping it tightly and refusing it to let go. This solidifies the coming intent. So the difference between craving and clinging is craving refers to the weak degree of greed, clinging refers to the strong degree of greed. Upadana Pachaya Bhava. This clinging powered by ignorance propels us into action. The actions or intentional deeds of body, speech, and mind are the karma bhava, active karmic existence. This potent energy guarantees a new upapati bhava, resultant existence or rebirth. Our strong attachments don't just affect our mood, they create the actual blueprint for our future existence. They are the powerful engine that drives us towards another birth. Bhava Pachaya Jati. The momentum of that powerful karmic energy or the end of this life inevitably leads to a new birth in the corresponding realm of existence. The blueprint from the previous step is now realized. A new life with a new body and mind begins in a state appropriate to the quality of the karma that created it. Jati Pachaya Jara Marana Sokha Dukha Domana Supayasa Sambhavanti. Birth is not a happy ending, it is the beginning of the end. Once born, the entire mass of suffering, aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation is an inevitable consequence. To be born is to have signed a contract for suffering. This is why the Buddha said the whole mass of suffering arises from this single condition birth. The way to liberation. We have traced the path from ignorance to suffering. This is the forward order, the anuloma. which explains the continuance of beings in samsara. It seems like a prison with no exit, but the Buddha's teaching is one of hope. He didn't just show us the cage, he showed us the door. There is a reverse order, the Paṭiccasamuppāda-naya. The entire chain is held together by the strongest link, ignorance and cravings. There is ignorance, we perceive feeling as me, mine, because we identify with feeling, craving and clinging. Because we identify with feeling, craving and clinging arise automatically. Therefore, the path to liberation is to cut the link between feeling and craving. How? By developing wisdom. When we experience a pleasant feeling, instead of blindly reacting with craving, we can observe it. This is a pleasant feeling. It has arisen due to conditions. It will pass away. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not myself. This is a practice of mindfulness and clear comprehension. When we can do this, feeling remains just feeling. It does not ignite into craving. When craving ceases, clinging ceases. When clinging ceases, the powerful coming, becoming that leads to a new rebirth ceases. And when the conditions of rebirth ceases, when the conditions of birth cease, when the condition for birth ceases, birth ceases. With the cessation of birth, aging, death, and the whole mass of suffering ceases. Thus, dependent arising is not a fatalistic doctrine. It is a practical diagnosis. It shows us the cause for our bondage to samsara, and by showing the cause, it illuminates the path to complete and total freedom nibbana. That's all. Thank you, Brother Lau, for the notes and the points. I think mine is too technical, so I copy from yours.
Anybody on the add-on?
Can I, Chai-Hung, can you go back to another one? Yeah, it's okay. Jati. The next one. This one. Okay. Once born, the entire mass of suffering is an inevitable consequence. Aging and death is inevitable, but sickness, sorrow, lamentation is not necessary. Not everybody has that. For example, Deva don't have that, but their aging and death, yes, is inevitable. That's why you see, it can be together as mass of suffering, but it's not necessary to every being. This is one. I think there's another one, but I can't remember already. Forgotten already. Old age catching up. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ko.
Okay, I would like to thank Brother Lau having checked my assignment and helped me to slash down a lot of redundant and repetitive statements and sentences. So this is the edited version. So question number 4. Write down the 12-fold law of dependent arising and explains its relevance in understanding the flow of birth and death or rebirth of a being. As introduction, Paṭiccasamuppāda is a Pali term which is a combination of 3 words. That is, pacha, because, dependent upon, the second word being sam, where, the third one being pada, arising, which literally means arising of effect through cause. The Buddha had coined out the 12 links of causes of dependence origination to Ananda as the condition required for one to be trapped in the endless rebirth in the samsaric world. The 12 causes explain how suffering arises and perpetuates in the cycle of rebirths and how all phenomena are interconnected in the causal effect relationship without a permanent self or soul. So the 11 links, the general principles of conditionality is expressed in numerous early sources as when this is, that is. This arising, that arises. When this is not, that is not. This ceasing, that ceases. The 11th step or causal sequence embodied the conditional relationship of the 12 factors enumerated in the above citation are explained in the direct order of arising. 1. With ignorance as condition, volitional formation arises. Second, with volitional formation as condition, rebirth consciousness arises. Third, with consciousness as a condition, mentality, materiality, or mind or body arises. 4, with mind and body as a condition, the sixth sense basis arises. 5, with the sixth sense base as a condition, mental contact arises. 6, with contact as a condition, feeling arises. 7, with feeling as a condition, craving arises. 8, with craving as a condition, attachment arises. 9, with attachment as a condition, becoming or life existence arises. 10, with becoming as a condition, birth arises. 11, with birth as a condition, old age, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and tribulation arises. Thus, the mass of suffering arises. So, it can also be expressed in the reverse order. Through entire cessation of ignorance, thus cease sankhara. Through the cessation of sankhara, consciousness ceases. Through the cessation of consciousness, mentality and materiality ceases. Through the cessation of mentality, materiality, the sixfold base ceases. 5, through the cessation of the sixfold bases, contact ceases. Number 6, through the cessation of contact, feeling ceases. 7, through the cessation of feeling, craving ceases. 8, through the cessation of craving, clinging ceases. 9, through the cessation of becoming, birth ceases. 10, through the cessation of becoming, birth ceases. Oh, sorry. Through the cessation of birth, cease aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Thus, did the whole mass of suffering cease. The Buddha quoted a simile to Ananda in Uttara Nikaya 3.76. So Ananda, deeds of karma are the field, consciousness of jnana is the seed, and craving tanha is the moisture. The consciousness of the sentient beings, shrouded by ignorance and fettered by craving, is established in a lower realm. That's how there is regeneration into a new state of existence of life. We may view the dependent arising in the flow of birth and death as the following. First, the past life, where the karmic process brings about becoming, where in the past, due to ignorance of the truth, one performed volitional acts which are the cause that propels the present life. And second, in the present life, it is actually the karmic effect from the past that shape the rebirth and its results. When the karmic energy from the past life condition the arising with the rebirth linking consciousness in this life, the consciousness along with mind and body, the senses, contact, and feelings are the result of the past action. We experience and the fruits of our past deeds through these links. Third level is the present life, where present karmic energy becomes the cause of rebirth. In this present life, based on feeling, we develop craving and clinging. This defilement powers our action, creating a new momentum of becoming. This is the karma they cause a future life. Becoming is the arising of I or self-concept. It conditions birth. In other words, becoming karmically conditions which, when it ripens, it becomes the momentum towards the arising of aggregates in a new life in a particular birth. The fourth level will be the future life. This is the karmic effects leads to the results being experienced. Because of the present causes of craving, clinging, becoming, a future birth inevitably follows. And with any birth, the whole mass of suffering, aging, death, etc. is implicit. This process flows on moment to moment and life to life, driven by cause and effect, not by a permanent self. By destroying the root of ajiva, ignorance and tanha, the three rounds will cease. That is, the round of defilement, the round of action, and the round of resultant will cease. As a result, there will be no more endless becoming and birth. It may be wise to practice the following steps. At Vedana level, we meet feelings with mindfulness and wisdom to prevent the arising of tanha. At tanha or upadana notes, cultivate non-grasping through insight into anicca, dukkha, and anatta. At ajiva notes or causal link, develop right view while learning the Dhamma and walking the Noble Eightfold Path. When ignorance ceases, the whole mass of dukkha ceases. Enlightenment was the destruction of ignorance. It will not give rise to volitional formation. Since Sankara and Bhava are karmically potent, keeping the 5 precepts, practice generosity and wholesome intentions, purify formation, leading towards fortunate rebirth and ultimately cessation. When the volitional formation is extinguished, consciousness ceases to arise. With consciousness being extinguished, it no longer leads to the formation of materiality, and mentality, etc. The broken causal links becomes the key factors that put an end to birth and death, as well as the suffering that arise in the package. As conclusion, when the 11 links are connected, it forms the whole circle of dependent origination, preparing for the fuel and momentum for endless birth and death to recur. It shows that rebirth is neither a random event nor a soul's transmigration, but a causal process. Therefore, the relevance of the 12-fold law in understanding rebirth is that it provides a comprehensive map of the process. That's all for question number 4.
Anybody want an addition or is anybody want anything?
If not, I'll continue with the last one.
Sorry,
Yes.
we say when the 11 links are connected, not 12 links, or we count 11.
Actually, you can either be 11 steps or 12 steps because usually the 11 steps will combine with birth. It leads to birth and death and then the mass of sufferings. But if it is broken down into 12 steps, then birth leads to aging and death become step 11. Then step 12 will be the birth and death will lead to the mass of suffering. So it depends on how you see it. So for me, I chose the 11th step, but it is still consisting of 12 factors.
We don't count ignorance. We count from where to where?
Okay, wait. Okay, when we count until 10, everything is the same. But when it comes to 11,
Oh,
it can be broken down into 11 and 12, or it will start it, just
okay. All right,
stay with
understood.
11.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I'll go to the next one, the last question. Okay, question number 4. Dependent on karmic formation arises consciousness. Clarify the statement in detail. As introduction, the statement dependent on karmic formation arises consciousness. Sankhara, Paccaya, Vijnanam is the second link in the dependent origination. To clarify it in detail, we must understand that it operates on 2 levels. One, in the level of rebirth context, which is past to present. The second level, from moment to moment context, which is referring to the present experience. How does karmic formation give rise to consciousness? As we learn about the 12 causal links in the dependent origination, it stated that with ignorance as condition, volitional formations comes by. With volitional condition as condition, consciousness arises. Sankhara are karmically potent volition or cetana that construct future experiencing as it leads to attention, perception, and effort that configure the mind, which is either in the wholesome, unwholesome, or mixed mode. Intention now shapes the next moment of mind. An angry or greedy sankhara constricts and agitates consciousness, whereas metta or mindful sankharas brightens and steadies it. For example, when one hears criticism, if latent ill will be built up by repeated resentful volitions, hearing consciousness quickly conditions an angry mind consciousness. If one has cultivated metta and patience, the same sound conditions a calm, discerning consciousness. Volitional formation are not just random thoughts. They are action backed by intention, which creates karma. As one does not realize the impermanence and non-self nature of all phenomena, the defiled intention fabricates experience, inclined to grasp, giving rise to this or that experience with stress or dukkha. It subsequently leaves karmic potential that can ripen later. So now we look at it from the level 1, the rebirth context, past to present. According to the Buddha, Vatican, what you intend to plan or what you have underlying tendencies for becomes a support for continuation of consciousness. So, karmically potent intention sankharas leave seeds, that is karma, bija, metaphorically. When the action repeatedly done, it becomes habit or impulsion that forces a new consciousness to arise at death. With the accumulation of unwholesome formation, example violence, the resulting consciousness is predisposed to a lower rebirth, that is, in the animal or hell beings. If one has created wholesome formation, example, generosity, the consciousness is predisposed to a higher realm, that is, rebirth into the human or deva planes. Okay. Now, second level, the moment-to-moment context, which is referring to the present experience. In each moment, the present intention has biased intent, attention, perception, and contact, thus conditioning the quality, object, and continuity of consciousness. Repeated intention, either wholesome or unwholesome, becomes tendency that shapes where intention goes, and how quickly a given kind of consciousness arises. For example, with habitual ill will and deep-seated prejudice, one has the tendency to make hostile interpretations spring up. The vijnana that arises in this context are often a defiled consciousness contaminated by greed, hate, or delusion, rather than neutral awareness. On the other hand, one with strong mental formation of loving kindness inclines the mind to gentle, non-harming conditions. The practical implication is to be liberated from endless rebirth coupled with dukkha. The emphasis is to reduce ignorance and weaken the unwholesome sankhara vijnana loop. So, the fewer unwholesome sankhara are fabricated. This can be achieved by weaken the root, cultivate right view to uproot ignorance, the fuel for unwholesome sankhara. Second, train mindfulness. Use sati and sampajanya to see sankhara as they arise, preventing them from proliferating into unskillful consciousness. Third one, guard intention jhana. Be aware of feelings and prevent them from triggering craving and clinging, which power sankhara. Last but not least, cultivate wholesome states. Develop loving kindness or metta and other wholesome qualities to reshape the stream of consciousness towards clarity and peace. As conclusion, in summary, to clarify the statement, consciousness, whether the first moment of new life or each moment of awareness in this life, does not arise randomly. It is conditioned and shaped by our past and present volitional actions. This karmic formation rooted in ignorance provide the fuel and direction for consciousness. By understanding this, we see that our present experience is not a given, but a result of our choices. And by making unskillful choices now, we can change the future qualities of our consciousness, ultimately leads to liberation. So all these are the references that I use for both questions, which includes the notes from Brother Lau, search from Noble AI, and many other suttas. That's all.
Okay, anybody on comment?
If not, we shall end this session.